Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all attendees are in a listen-only mode until the question and answer period. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted publicly. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now, I'd like to hand the call over to your speaker, David Craker. David, you may begin.
Oh, thank you, Greg. Okay, my name is David Craker, and my colleague Noemi Mendez is here minding the chat for us today. And so, if you are going to send anything into the chat, please make sure that you address it to everyone. If you send it to me, I will not be able to see it. Let me just explain how we're going to go through this session this morning. I will talk for about 20 minutes, a little bit about the Census Bureau and American Community Survey data and census data slightly, and then I will explain a little bit about mapping, and then we'll transition over to the live website, which is data.census.gov, and I will go through a few examples and show you how to map things in different ways. When we get to the end of the session or near the end of the session, you can, or as we're going through it, you can put your questions in the chat and Noemi will read them to me at the end, or she will try to answer them herself. And the other thing is that we will open it up at the end. If you want to ask a question, there's a little icon. It's either at the bottom or next to your name where you can raise your hand. And then we will give you permission to unmute yourself, and you can unmute and you can verbally ask your question, and I'll try to answer it as best I can. Okay, so let me go ahead, and we're going to be looking at the Puerto Rico Community Survey today and mapping that data. So let me just progress through this. Okay, so even though I said Puerto Rico Community Survey, I do like to start this out talking about the decennial census, and that is something we do every 10 years on April 1st and years ending in 0. It is the official count of the population, but we don't ask many questions. We only ask up to 10 questions, and therefore those deep demographic pieces of information that you're looking for, you would not be looking for it in the decennial census. Every housing unit is accounted for in the decennial census, and so it is considered to be a complete census. Everything is touched or accounted for in some way, and we get information back, and then we release that information in the years following the decennial census. So the last time we did this was 2020. But think of this, we do have something called the American Community Survey or the Puerto Rico Community Survey. That is an extension of the decennial census. It is actually what we previously called the long form. So there are a lot of questions in this survey. For Puerto Rico, we do a sample size of 36,000 addresses annually. We send out by mail the Puerto Rico Community Survey, and if we do not receive it back by mail, then we come and we do in-person questioning or survey work. We release this data down to all different geographies that you can get data for. I will show, I have it here with an exclamation point next to it, the census tract today, and how to get data that way, and also by municipio. I will show that as well. The data is released in 1-year increments and 5-year data, I'll call it, and I'll show you how to get that. I'll explain that to you as we're going through. This is just a sample on the right of what the questions look like on the Puerto Rico Community Survey. So notice that Hispanic up here, question number 5, is actually separate from race, which is question number 6. So we consider those to be two different things. And just so that when you're looking for data, you know that it's presented a little bit differently. There are about 72 questions on the Puerto Rico Community Survey. We're looking for sort of deep characteristics here, so asking people about how much they make, what languages they speak at home, all sorts of things of that sort. and then you can get that data in different types of tables. So we call them B tables, C tables, S tables, and DP tables. So I will show you the DP tables today, just so you get a better idea of how to look for that in the system. Once again, you can get the data down to a tract level availability, and you can be quite certain that you're getting good data at the tract level. You can sometimes get data at a lower level, meaning like a block group level, but you may not get all the data in there when you're looking at that. So ACS selection is actually based on housing unit information. And so we build that first, and then from that, we are going to, select addresses that we're looking for. Notice on the right, there are a couple questions here that we ask about housing units. We actually ask about 20 questions that deal with housing questions. So I don't want people to think that this survey is only about people. It is about the housing unit as well. If somebody is not living in a unit, or maybe it's only there, the unit's there for rentals, we still do what we call interviewing the unit. We try to find out as much information as we can about the dwelling or the house or the housing unit as best we can, okay? And then we also do some work at group quarters. And group quarters, for example, could be a nursing home, or it could be a dormitory at a university. So we will try to get some of that information as well. These are the four parts of the data that we have. We have social information over here on the left. It says DPO2. That's a table I will show you today. This are all the subcategories that we have under social. And then we have economic to the right of that, and it's DPO3. So these are all sort of economic bits of information if you're looking for that. And then we have housing information over here. So that's DPO4. And then over here on the right, we have demographic, DPO5, and that's sort of comparable, the same as the decennial census. I will say over here on the very left, I should have said this, DPO2, it's actually called DPO2 PR for Puerto Rico. Some of the questions are different from what we ask on the mainland, from what we ask in Puerto Rico. So some things are a little bit different for Puerto Rico. Little geography lesson here. So if we look over here on the lower right, we have every block in the country is numbered, and we do that every 10 years when we do a decennial census. So you would not be able to get Puerto Rico Community Survey data at a block level, but if you were looking for the decennial census, you can get those numbers down to a block level. The block nests within what we call a block group right here. And so you can get a little bit of Puerto Rico Community Survey data down to a block group level. But I would say it's sometimes you get good data, sometimes you don't, and sometimes you get no data. So I prefer to say to you the lowest level you should go is a census tract. So the block groups nest within the census tract, and the census tracts nest within, here it says county, but they actually nest within a municipio for Puerto Rico. And then a municipio nests within Puerto Rico itself. Right here, this is California, but it nests within a state or the state equivalent, and that nests within the United States. So when I say nest, it means one thing fits within the other. It's just a terminology that we use. All these other things over here on the left, other geographies, are available as well. So zip codes, zip code tabulation area, you get that data. Place, if you were looking for maybe a comunidad in Puerto Rico, you could find that as well for place. Minor civil division, you don't have that for Puerto Rico. Neither do you have congressional district. You may get some school district information, and PUMA, public use microdata areas as well, if you were looking for that. So this is a very important slide for you, just to understand how the data is released. So the most important thing is this line right here in the middle across. It says 65,000. 65,000 is the magic number that we use to divide between the types of data that we release. So anything that has a population greater than 65,000, you can get what we term 1-year data. So every year in September, you can get 1-year data for that. So for example, the whole island of Puerto Rico or the municipio of San Juan, you could get data every year because those both are above 65,000 in population. If something, we'll say most municipios might be like, or half of them maybe, are less than 65,000 in population, you cannot get this 1-year data. The 1-year data is from the previous year. Instead, you have to retrieve or pull what we call 5-year data. And 5-year data means that we have surveyed people over 5 years, and after the 5th year, we release the average for the past 5 years. And you can get that data every year in December if you want to. Okay, so it isn't like you have to grab the data every 5 years. You can get it every year. It's just that it was compiled over 5 years. Okay, so and also if you're in an area over 65,000, you get the option of also having that 5-year data. So you can have either 1-year data or 5-year data. Okay. Let's look down here at the bottom. Under 4,000 people in population, you can retrieve the 5-year data. However, the margins of error, okay, so there's some error in it, will get higher and higher. And you want to pay attention to that because maybe you would say to yourself, maybe this margin of error is too high. I don't want this piece of data. And that does happen. Some people will decide, I don't want the data this year, or it's no good. So I'm going to look for the data a different way. Okay, so you'll see me look for probably 5-year data today, but I'll draw your attention to both the 5-year and the 1-year data. And then today what we're going to do is I'm going to go into this website, and the website is called simply data.census.gov. Okay, you could put it on your computer or your iPhone if you wanted to. And I'm going to go into here what's called advanced search. So even though you can fill in information here to look for things, you have less control over what you're looking for if you just write something into this window. If you go to advanced search, you have more control over what you're doing. You have more authority over what you're selecting. You can look for data in our system back to the year 2000. So it is not just for the latest data, it's for every year if you want to do comparisons, and it's for multiple surveys. It is not just for Puerto Rico Community Survey, it's for decennial information, it's for economic information. However, the Puerto Rico Community Survey and the decennial census are both the best surveys right now for knowing how to put their information in our website in this portal. Okay, this is an example. This is what we are going to be shooting for. This is what we will try to do today. We are going to try to map the data and get what's called a choropleth map. It looks something like this. So the data can be mapped one variable at a time. It does help you to pinpoint or to see where you have traits or things that are happening on your map that over an area that might not be happening in another part geographically. We have something called a histogram in there, and I'm going to show you how to use the histogram a little bit. And then also when you create a map, you can share it. Okay, so there is a link up there, and you can copy that link and you can send it to somebody and they would be able to see the map that you created. So some of the things that will happen today is when we go into the system, before we even get to the part about making the map, we have to know how to filter. And so these are the primary filters right here. If you can see my cursor, we have geography, topics, surveys, and years and codes. And they are all open. So right here, I've closed them all. But when we go into the system, they're sort of open and you see all your choices. And I'll show you how to open and close those things. One thing I would say, though, the more filters, you should use a few filters. Usually people say use the year or the geography first, and then you could go to the topic. So probably 3 things you might want to use. I do want to say that if you use more than 3 things or too many filters, as I say up here, it leads to nothing. It's just too many filters and it locks up the portal and you probably won't find anything. Once again, the most challenging thing is the geography. They are nested, or certain things fit within other things, and so you have to learn how to sort of work through that and drill down in the filters so that you get what you actually want. So when we go into mapping your data today, you will be creating a map from your table. So the first thing I'm going to do is look for data, and we'll open a table of data. And then from that, we will create a map. But you can, if you choose to map something from just what we call a single geography, so maybe just the city of San Juan or the island of Puerto Rico, you're just going to get what we call a locator map. It's just going to show you where the map is. But if you select multiple geographies, probably many geographies together, so let's say all the municipios on the island of Puerto Rico, then you can get this type of map on the right. That's called a choropleth map. And then you're going to map one variable at a time, and it will show you something like this. Okay, so sort of 2 different types of maps, and you want to be careful what you're mapping. So when you're mapping the data also, you get control of your color and the transparency. So you can make it more transparent or less transparent. There is a base map underneath it, and you can see what that looks like. Maybe you don't like a certain color, or you're making a set of maps and you want to have different colors to distinguish between one or the other. You have that flexibility to do that if you want. And then when you get down here, this is what's called the histogram, and it's a classing system. And so we'll have so many of a certain thing in this class, and this class, and this class, and you can move these lines around, right? So I have 5 classes up here, and I can sort of control the way the map looks by moving things around. And you can actually isolate things as well, as maybe one class or maybe only one municipio or one tract. You want to find where that one is, and you can isolate it with the histogram. And so we'll do that as well. Okay, so this is the end of my slideshow. This is me. This is my name and my email address. If you wanted to, things happen in the future and you need to contact me for help, you can do that. But we also have this email up here, or down here, census.askdata@census.gov. You can send them a question. We do have somebody who's on that. You can send your question in Spanish, and they will do their best to help you. And then there's a phone number as well. I could be away on vacation, so you may decide I'd better just send it to this email down here to get help. So this is the point where I want to say you might want to pull out your phone and take a photo of this slide right now so that you have this for future reference. Also down here, we have census.gov/academy. If you were to go to that on the website, there are lots of little videos and YouTube videos, I'll call them, and courses there that help you with certain aspects of what we do. So that is something as well. And you can also sign up for a webinar if you want, or I'll call it a webinar or virtual training if you have a company or an organization. So I am going to do this. I'm going to switch over to my other, let's see if I can do this. Application, okay. I will take your advice, Greg. And I will go down here. And so here we are. Can somebody let me know if you can see this. Can you see my
Looks great, David.
Looks great? Okay. Let me just get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, and I'll move that over here. Okay, so this is the main website that we have. And let me do that. Okay, I'm just moving things out of the way. Okay, this is our main website. It is called Explore Census Data, or some of us call it up here data.census.gov. I'm going to go directly to advanced search, okay? And once I get here, I do have my filters over here. Sometimes when you get there, they will be open like this, and you may want to close them. But at this point, they were closed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to, like I said, I'm not going to choose more than 3 things, all right? But I'm going to come here to the survey. I know that I want uh, American Community Survey, which is actually the Puerto Rico Community Survey, just so we know. And I come here and I can either choose that 1-year data or the 5-year data. And I say, I want the 5-year data. And remember I mentioned DP tables. There are all these tables here. It's a little confusing, but this one in the middle, the data profile table, is what I call the Walmart of tables. It has a lot of information in there, and you may want to go there and look at that, because that's the entrance place into most of the things you're looking for. So I could go to year, or I could go to geography if I wanted to. I won't go to year. I just will show you how to go to geography, and I'll come here. And so we can look for one place or one state or one county, but let's just get a feel straight first what a table looks like. So I will go to a state. That's the geography. And I come down here and I say, let's just look at Puerto Rico, okay, just by itself. And I will did that. So I have 2 things in my filter up at the upper left, right? 5-year estimates in Puerto Rico. And then I pull my arrow down here to the lower right, and it says search, okay? And then I have search right there. And I will do this, get that out of the way. Oh, I gotta pull this out. Okay, there it is. Okay, and then once I get there, look, it just gives me a locator map for Puerto Rico. It does not really give me anything else. But let's just look at a table so that you get a feeling for what one of these tables may look like. So we'll take this one right here, DPO2 PR. So that's a Puerto Rico table. I will close these little arrows here. They're called chevrons. And so here's what one table looks like for Puerto Rico. All right, we always give you a numerical estimate right here, and then we give you the margin of error. Then we give you a percentage. So I do like these tables because there is a percentage here, and that's kind of a nice thing, I find. And so up here at the top as well, if you can see this here over on the left, it says DPO PR, this blue color, and it says selected social characteristics. But notice right here, it's sort of reminding you what your filters are, and you can actually filter it a little bit more if you wanted 5-year data, or maybe you wanted another year down here, 2020 or 2019. You can grab that if you wanted to. So you can change it a little bit if you wanted to. I did select the 5-year, so it didn't offer me the 1-year data. But look at this. We have all the number of households, number of total households, married couple households, all these sorts of information, relationship of people there. Are they married? Are they not married? Fertility rate, grandparents, are they living there? School enrollment, educational attainment. Okay, veteran status. As you go down, you get all this place of birth. And so this is a little bit different. If you were being asked this question in the United States, they wouldn't be asking you, are you born in Puerto Rico or the United States? They're just asking you, are you born in the United States? So it's slightly different questioning. And then asking about citizenship a little bit, and then world region people are coming from, the languages they speak at home, and ancestry if you're looking for that, and then computer usage down at the bottom, okay? And if this was a table that you liked, you can manipulate the table a little bit. You can come over here, there is an icon. These are different icons up here at the top, right? And you can click on this one that says margin of error. And then over here on the right, they have ... and you could share it with somebody or share it with yourself if you wanted to. And you can grab that URL if you wanted to, copy it and paste it somewhere, okay? But what I'm going to do right now, since we're right here in Puerto Rico and we have this table open, I'm going to give you a QR code. So I'm going to come up here. There's a little button there that's because I'm in Google Chrome. I can click on that and I say create the QR code. So if you have your iPhone right now and you want to take a photo of that, you'll have this for future reference. Okay, it's already in Puerto Rico. It is the latest Puerto Rico Community Survey data. And when you click on that, it will open this for you. Okay, I'm just waiting one more second. I'm going to close this now. Okay, close that. And then over here on the left, you still have your filters, and you can flip back and forth between these different tables if you wanted to. You don't have to stay in this table. You can come here to economic characteristics if you wanted to, and it will change the table for you. Okay, so that's sort of what we're doing here. But now I'm going to change it a little bit, all right? Because I did promise I would show you how to map it. Over here on the left, I had Puerto Rico here, but maybe I don't want Puerto Rico anymore. And we'll come down here and we say, let's grab all the counties, okay? So here it is, county. So in Puerto Rico, you don't have counties, you have municipios, right? So, but that's an equivalent. In the eyes of the Census Bureau, a municipio is the equivalent of a county, and actually a county subdivision as well. So we come down here, we select Puerto Rico. We have to let it know what state we want, okay? And then we say all counties within Puerto Rico. So I click on that. And it is thinking a little bit. Okay, so I will now close this part. And here we have all the things that are here, DP tables, and I'm just going to look at something DPO3, selected economic characteristics. And look at that, it gives me a huge table. It's every municipio in the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. And so you get an estimate and you get a percentage. And I had turned off the margin of error. We could turn that on or turn it off. It just depends on what we want to do with that. And so look, huge table. If you wanted that table, you can download it over here. Remember, I had share if you wanted that. And then we can come down here and we can look through all sorts of things. So let's just look through the table at the left. We have employment status. We have commuting to work information. We have occupation that people are in, the industry that people are in, the class of worker, the income that people are making, okay? And so we're just going to look at, I think, income today, just so we get a little bit of a feeling for something in this table. And I think we're going to look at the median household income. But let's just look through the whole table. So we have it by family, we have it by household. A household could be 3 students who are living together. We have health insurance coverage information down here. Percentage of families and people who I think are below income and passive below the poverty line. Okay, we have that in there. People under 18. So all sorts of information. This is the tip of the iceberg, really. It's only the entranceway. If you're looking for more information, you can use this word. The first word that's in capital letters, we have a mechanism you can search for that word and you can find more information. So let's do this. Let's go over here to the right. I'm going to map something. I said median household income. Over on the right, these have these 3 dots, and we will say map, because that is the subject of today's presentation, right? Mapping. And so look at this. What is it that we're looking for? The map or the table simply maps something for us. We don't know what it's mapping. So in order to control that, we come right here. Okay, we click on that down arrow. And so what it did is it mapped a percentage, and then it maps something. I think percentage of people in the labor force. But we don't want that. We don't want a percentage. We want a number. Okay, so pay attention to this down here. Are you using percentage or number? And remember, I said I wanted to map the median income. So that is a number. I click on that, and then I come down here, and let's see if we can find it. I have a lot of different numbers we can map, right? Let's see. Okay, so here we have households. I can scroll down. So this this little window here works. You know, there's a thing right here on the little tab. You can pull it up and down if you want to. Okay, so we're going to look at just to make sure. I think we are total households, and we want we'll just take the median household income, and we will click on that, and it will show us the highs and the lows around the island, around the Commonwealth. Okay, so it's sort of the suburban areas of San Juan, as you can see. So darker means more, and then lighter is this. Okay, and then over here on the left, you have a legend, and it's showing you how it broke things out for you. And if you wanted to zoom in, you can sort of just click on a different municipio, and it will tell you the number. Okay, so this municipio over here, right here, has the highest median household income in the area on the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. Okay, so that is there if you wanted that. A couple things you can do up here at the top. You can change the color, or you can just make it less transparent like that, so that if you wanted to keep that, you could. Okay, and then over here on the right, once again, more tools. You can share it if you want to, but I'm going to share it a different way up here at the top. If you can see the little arrow, I'm not sure if you can. It's in the URL, and it's part of Chrome. I click on that, and I say create a QR code. And so here's a QR code for this map, and you can pull out your iPhone right now and take a photo of it if you wanted to. And then you can get back into this segment, into this map, and ultimately you can get back into the table as well. So here we have our first map. Okay, and let me go ahead. I'm going to close the QR code right here. Okay, so once again, we're right here in the map. We can come back here to these three dots, and we can go back to the table if we want to do that, and we say view the full table, and it brings us back. So now we are back in the table if that's something else we wanted to look at. Okay, and so let me just look at this table again. I think what I'm looking for is somewhere else. We are in the DP, but let me make sure. And as we go down here, okay, so I'm going to switch tables a little bit. I'll go back to filters, and you can see this. I am going to go, I'm pretty sure it's down here in the housing. So it's DP04. Let's just take a look at a different table. And okay, so here it is. Here's the table, and this is what I want to rent, not what I want to map. I noticed it before. I was looking at renters, if I can find it. Okay, so selected monthly owner costs, and selected owner costs as a percentage, and then let's just see if we have it down here. Gross rent. Okay, so I wanted to look at this gross rent as a percentage of household income, and then let's see if what's 35% or more. So people paying more than 35% of their income for their rent. So it's the last thing in the table. All right. And I will come over here to the very right, and I will map this again. So once again, we're just looking at municipios, and we'll look at map, and we'll wait for that map to come up. So it's reading, and it just pulls the first thing at the top of the table, which is occupied housing units. But I don't want that. I want percentage, right? And it was something really far down in the table, and I wanted 35% or more, and it was of renters. Okay, gross rent. So let's see if we can get that. Okay, and so it maps it for us. So where are people paying higher rent, or more, not higher rent, but more of their income around the island? And so here we have it if we wanted to look at that. And let's just change the colors a little bit. So change the color. maybe make it darker, but we'll just say, I just want to show you that you can do this if you wanted to. So here you have an area where people pay more, they're renting, but they pay more of their percentage-wise. So 66% of the population in that area are paying more than 35%. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Up to 66% are paying more than 35% of their income on rent. Okay, if that makes sense. So you can do that if you want to. You can change things around. Okay, so let's look at that. That's one thing we are looking at as a map, right? And so I just want you to see over here in the upper right, we have something called classes. If you can see next to colors, it says classes. And right here, it's broken this out into a sort of a natural classing system, like the ups and downs, it divides it for you. But you can move these around as well if you wanted to. If you want to isolate something, if you don't like that, or maybe you want it to be equal interval. These are different ways of mapping things. So over here, it's just equal intervals, 23 to 32. It does that, and you can just do it yourself. If you wanted to come down here, you can create your own breakouts if you want to. If you wanted 4, you can say, I just want 4 breakouts like that. If you wanted 2, you can just see the highs and the lows, and you can isolate something here. You can pull it over, and you can see the highest, okay? Or maybe you want to see the lowest. Let's see if we can do that. Lowest. So if I can pull it over, here it comes. Okay, so let's see where the lowest is. So here's the lowest. Actually, people who are only paying, of people who are paying more than 35% of their income, only 23% of renters are doing that in this one municipio, or this one down here too, I guess. So you can break it out that way if you wanted to. A little complicated, I know. Well, let's go back one more time to our filters, and let's do things a different way. If you are in this system, okay, and you want to change things, or you want to clear the whole system out, you can come up here to the upper left and you can click on the logo, and it will clear everything out for you. So now you come back to advanced search, and it opens it for you. And look at this over here on the left, it will open all those filters for you. They're not closed anymore. That could make it complicated or easier depending on how you look at things. So let's do this. We're going to select every tract on in the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. So let's go down here, and we will look for Puerto Rico. And here it is, Puerto Rico. And we say, believe it, we can do this. All tracts in Puerto Rico. It's big, but the system will do it. Okay. Topics that we're looking for, but we're looking for American Community Survey. We know that it has to be 5-year data, and we're going to stick with the data profile. Those are big tables, remember, and then maybe we want to sort it out by year. Okay, and 2021 is the last year this is available. In December, the 2022 data will be available. So just have another month or so to wait, and you'll get the newer data. Okay, so all this here, these 3 things, remember I said probably you don't want to choose more than 3 filters. So come down here to the lower right, I see search. And so now I have to choose a table. I have to look for something. So I'm going to look for, I'm going to go to DPO5. It's a very simple table. And I'm just going to look at what areas of, what tracts around the island have more children under the age of 5. So I did want to show you this. This happens a lot when you are pulling data for a larger area. You will get this warning, and it comes up, and it's with a blue circle, and it says it's prompting you to download the table or the data. But if you look down here, it has a little button, and that little button says open the table anyway. So you just click on that button, and you be patient, And there's the table for you. Okay, so I'm going to close the margin of error. All right, so I turn that off and it sort of changes my table for me. And then I can come over here to the right and I'm going to map it. And remember I said I'm looking for, here it is, percentage of under 5-year-olds. So that's what I'm looking for. Click on census, I'm sorry, map. So sometimes I find that when you're grabbing a lot of things, a lot of data for an area, the map actually works. The map feature works quite quickly. So down here, remember, I don't want a number. I could flip back and forth, but I actually want a percentage. Okay. So I want the percentage and I wanted this, the under 5-year-olds, and I just click on that and it will begin to map it for me. Okay, so it's sort of coming along here. The colors maybe are a little bit clear, translucent. So I will make it less transparent right there. Maybe choose a different color so that I can see things a little bit better. And so here we have things all around the island where you have more incidences of under 5-year-olds. Okay, so you can do that. And then you can create your classing system if you wanted to. So maybe you don't want it to look like this. You want it to look a little bit different. So you can move things around if you wanted to. That is up to you. You can control it however you want to. But maybe we want to, as I pointed out, to find those tracks that have more under 5-year-olds. And so we can do that, right? Remember, we can come up here. Let's see if we can do that. I just went back to natural breaks and we say, okay, well, we only want two, and then I'm going to pull it over here and say, well, show me the top 2. Okay, and they're very, very tiny. Let's just see if we can even find them. Maybe we can't even find them. They could be really small. So let me just see if anybody sees anything, just yell out. Maybe we won't even see it. I see something over here, but I can't seem to find it here. Here. Okay, and so I can zoom in. And so here we have in San Juan, we have San Juan area, the 2 census tracts that have the highest percentages of under 5-year-olds. And so I click on that. There we have 20%, and then we have another one up here and 20% as well. Okay, and so you may say, so this is a way you can control this over here with a histogram, and you can sort of make things work a little bit better. Let me close that. And so now you're probably saying, where is this in San Juan? I don't know. And so you can come up here to the base map. And with that base map, you can change it. And we have a detailed base map and you can turn that on. And so now you kind of start to see what's going on in that area. The coloration will come back. So this is where you may want to come back to your color and you make it more transparent. Right? And so now you can kind of see where that is. I don't know anything about this area, but for whatever reason, there are more under 5-year-olds there. Okay. And then I think there was another part of San Juan down here. And here you have more under 5-year-olds as well living in this area. So you may want to use the map to help you find areas where you have certain things happening that maybe you want to address that area. Okay. So I think right now, Noemi, I will, are there any questions for me? Or any questions in the chat that you think
we have a few. Let me take a
Okay.
look here. So we got a lot of questions or comments about you going a little too fast for people.
Uh-huh.
I believe that the recording is going to be made available, so you can go back and review the recording to follow the steps.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question about how accurate is the American Community Survey. There's a 90% confidence rate. If you go to our website and go to the ACS section, There is a document that talks about the accuracy of the data. The slides will be made available. Is that correct, David, after the
Sure.
presentation?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was a question about the recent DPO2 table that showed up was 2021. When will the new data be available? And you responded to that.
Yes, that would be this. I think it's the second week. I think it's actually December 7th. Somebody told me.
We got another question. Can you download the census tract shapefiles? Yes, you can do so on our geography webpage. I'm not sure, David, if you want to.
Yeah, I will show.
Quick tour.
Let me show that really quickly. Let me go here. Okay. All right. So for geography, or shapefiles rather, you would come here www.census.gov and come here to topics, and then over here to geography. And then it says geography program, but as you go down, keep going, it has mapping files, and you can, many people prefer to take these tiger line shape files. So you could grab those if you wanted to. The cartographic boundary files are also shape files. They are just created for you to overlay on a base map if you already have your base map. And if you're just using it to map demographic data from us, you could use the cartographic shape boundary files. That's what I prefer. But other people may go a different way. You probably want to take the latest year, and if you know what size your map is, you probably want to select a shapefile that's close to the map scale size. But if you don't maybe take the middle one here. I'm not really sure which one you would choose, but these use less memory, okay, and they are made for you to use with our data. Okay, so Tiger Line, you could grab that, cartographic boundary, and then some people like the Tiger Line geo databases. The geo databases have data already attached to them. It's just that these take a little bit later in the year to be ready. So the DP table data will be available in December. They may not have this ready until April or May. Okay, so that would be a little bit later. The other thing, let me see if I can do this. I'm going back to data.census.gov. I did not say this. I'm sorry. If you were grabbing some sort of data, profile, and we'll just say geography, and just say county. Let me just show you really quickly. Puerto Rico, and then we say all counties, and we say search, and maybe this is the data you wanted for your GIS system. All right, I'm not sure if you know this. If you're pulling this data for a GIS system, it is recommended that you do it in Chrome, so that you use the Google Chrome apparatus, and that when you're pulling it over here on the right, that you pull it in a zip file. If you pull it in the zip file, it will give you the geo ID, the geo identifier codes, and you need those to attach it to your shapefiles. Okay, if you pull the CSV or I think it was an Excel file, I can't guarantee that you'll get the geo ID, but if you pull it in a zip file, you will get the geo ID. So, okay. Any other questions, Noemi?
There was a comment and it says, could David check where the older population lives to make a quick analysis? I guess like how you showed how to find the children under 5. Maybe
Oh,
do a
sure.
quick example.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that for fun. Okay, so we're in filters. I took all counties in Puerto Rico, but let's go back. We'll leave the 5-year data in there, and let's take all the census tracts in Puerto Rico. Okay, so notice what I do is I alert the system to my unit of analysis, census tract. Then I have to drill down So then I have to say, okay, I want it in Puerto Rico, not Pennsylvania, not Rhode Island, Puerto Rico. And then I say all census tracts. And by the way, I could just select census tracts in one municipio. I'll just show you what that looks like. It looks like that, okay? But we want it for the whole Commonwealth. I will select it like that. Pull that over here. It was GPO 5. Okay, so that table is coming up right here. And once again, we get that the famous, it's too big, but just come here to open the table. Click on that, and it will open the table for you. Sometimes I have to click this twice. So click it twice. And here it is. Okay, so we're going to look for the older population. Well, right now they have it here 85 years and over. I guess let me see if there's anything else. Oh, here we have, oh no, okay, I'm going to take this 65 years and over. Okay, so I look through the table, I come over here to the right, I say more tools, and we will say map. So mapping tool. Okay, and I'm going to come up here, right, to look for that variable, and everybody cross your fingers. We want the percentage, and we want, here it is right here. I have to find that. We really wanted 62, no, 65 and over. Okay, and it's going to give me the highest percentages. Okay, now I'm going to confess, I need to make this, I don't want transparent color. I don't see it too well. So now we start to see the higher colors, right? Look, it says in this range that the mechanism created for us, 116 tracks. But maybe we want the highest tract, okay? Or maybe highest 2 tracks, we'll say. So I come up here again to classes, and I say, let me make that only 2 classes. And I will drag it over here. And I will just isolate the whatever here is at the end. And so, wow, really hard to find that. And sometimes what I do find, there was a question there about what is the confidence level, I will say, for ACS. This is where I say, if you're looking for something, and then we may not be able to find it. If Noemi, if you see anything, holler, yell. Is that something right there? No, that's my screen. Well, here's one of them.
Yeah, right there.
Okay, there's one of them right there. All right. So is this Mayaguez area? I think it is.
Probably. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, and so let's just click on it first. And so it's telling me that it's 44.1% of the population, 62 years and over. Somewhere on the island, there's another one. Look over here on the left. That's 44.4%. But we'll just look at this one, okay? So first of all, we can change our base map, turn that on. Okay, and so here it is. And then I'm going to make the color less transparent so that we kind of see what's going on and where that is. So I think this is Mayaguez, right? Yeah. So the other thing you can do is when you get to this point and you see that high incidence of something, you can actually click on it. If you wanted to, you can go back and look at the table. If you wanted to flip back and say, okay, now I know it's, track number 822, but you can just click right here. And it has this thing, it says view profile, and you can open that and it will totally change. It's letting you know track number 822 in Mayaguez Municipio, Puerto Rico, and then it starts to give you some of the information down here. So I would say, okay, this tract has 1,500 people in there. That's a lot lower than 4,000. We need, a good 4,000 people to have a good reading. So your margin of error might be a little bit high here, and you may be a little bit, that's where that idea of how good is this? You might want to look at the margin of error to see if the margin of error is a little bit too high. Okay, so you could do that, but this is just other information as you drill down, letting you know kind of what's going on in that area, if you wanted to. So older population 44.1 at at this reading. Okay, when you are in our system, by the way, if you get here and say, how do I get out of this? How do I go back? The back arrow up here at the top works really well in the system. So if you were right here in this part of the map and you wanted to go back, you just click on the back button and keep hitting back, and it will take you back. Okay, so anyway, this is that whole map for Puerto Rico. It didn't actually take me back as far as I wanted to. Let me give you the QR code in case you wanted that. You can take a photo of it. Okay, any other questions? I don't know if we have time to open it for people to ask questions verbally.
We've got about 3 minutes and I don't see any other questions, so we may want to wrap up.
Okay, just okay, so if anybody has a verbal question, just raise your hand now. Got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's not a lot of time. Do we see anything? Okay, so I think we're probably done, right, Noemi? Greg, should we turn it back to you?
Thanks, David, and I don't see any raised hands. So I appreciate your and Noemi's excellent presentation today. And since there are no further questions, we'll go ahead and end this webinar. Thank you very much for participating, and you all may disconnect at this time.